Hello, everyone. My name is Tuba Fatma, a software tester engineer in Cloud Upload. Welcome you on the webinar on Synapse QA. Synapse QA welcomes you to the webinar on potential and limitations of generative AI in quality engineering. Synapse agenda is learn, share, and grow together. About us, a community driven space created by a bunch of aspirants who are passionate about testing craft. Since 2020, it's been one of the best and globally acclaimed platform focusing on helping testers build their portfolio. A team that explore unique ways to emphasize the role of software quality in the context of the modern world. Hosted 6 global events, panel discussions, hand-on workshops, meetups, parallel learning series, Tailors of Tales, Voice of Testing, community partner for 6 global testing conferences. We strive to continuously empower the community with innovative ideas that could bring change. Our values: we want to contribute to a better testing space by inspiring testers to open up their hearts and confidently share their knowledge with wider community. Our mission is redefine the creative ways of knowledge sharing. What makes us unique are people and community. Our journey from this March 2020 to 2020 launched Synapse QA platform. Till then, we have initiated multiple events and competitions and is still counting. Our past hits: Synapse, Super Eats, Rise, Super Voice, Supernova, Galaxy Quest, Sparks, Tailors of Tales, Spot the Difference, APIs Unleashed. Our team, we have a dedicated team who is running the behind the screen and working hard. And today our topic is potential limitations of generative AI in quality engineering by Glacier. Our speaker today is Philip. He studied technical physics in Vienna. During his diploma at CERN, he already placed a strong focus on hardware-oriented software development. After a detour into development cooperation, where he supervised a solar-powered wireless network in rural Uganda, he started as a Java developer at Accenture in Austria. Soon he specialized in quality assurance in agile environment. In recent years, with the increasing relevance of AI, Philip also began to engage intensively with this topic, both in terms of testing AI and using AI to improve the quality assurance processes. I would like to welcome the Philip on the stage.
Introduction, Tuba. Thank you very much.
It's over to you. Now stage is yours.
Thank you. So, warm welcome from my side as well. Thanks everyone for dialing in. As Tuba mentioned, today we're going to investigate potential and limitations of generative AI in quality engineering. Let me start off with a quick introduction of myself. I think Tuba mentioned already some of the points. Not the first one though. So I grew up in a small village in Austria, many cows, hills and mountains and fields, small house and a small Philip, who eventually got bored and moved to study physics in Vienna. So I did high energy physics. I did my diploma thesis at CERN. And that's where I had my first touch points with, let's say, software engineering, with development. As mentioned, I had a small detour in development aid. I worked in Uganda for a bit more than a year. Upon coming back, I then joined Accenture as a developer. I was doing Java development in the beginning. Also had some first experiences on the mainframe in a banking project, but very soon I switched to quality engineering, So I started testing and developed this as a passion, and have been doing this now for over 10 years. In the past years, I also always got more and more interested in artificial intelligence, and I also tried to understand how artificial intelligence, on the one hand, is to be tested, because it's fundamentally different, but also the other side of the coin. How can artificial intelligence improve testing processes? Yeah? And obviously, today we're going to focus on artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence. This has really boosted the capabilities and the potential. And so in the past 1.5 years, more or less, I have been having a small team with which we develop use cases, we participate in hackathons, and we try to find ways of improving testing capabilities and benefiting from GenAI. So very warm welcome from my side. Really happy to be able to speak in front of you today, and also really happy to have a discussion, a very vivid discussion, hopefully after the session. Timing of the presentation is like that it tends to take enough time, like 15 or 20 minutes, so that we can really go into detail and discuss your concerns and really learn from each other, as mentioned before from Tuba. So far from myself, but let's dive into it. Yeah. So I'm opening with this statement: is the GenAI hype real? And many of you have been working in IT. You have seen hypes coming and going. Yeah. Last one, probably most famous one, was the metaverse. Yeah. I also was once appointed to develop test approaches for the metaverse so that we would be ready when this thing hits the market. Never happened, so it landed in a drawer. And now, of course, the question is, will a similar thing happen with GenAI, or is this real? Is this here to stay? Will this fundamentally change how we work, how we interact with machines? But in order to answer that question, let's probably look at a few visuals. Yeah, I always like this because it's a very solid foundation to look at figures. And so the slide and the graph that you're seeing is from Accenture's Tech Vision 2024. And it shows how AI is reaching, and AI is the mimicking of human intelligence by machines. Yeah, that's one of the definitions of AI. And we see some of the capabilities, the early ones of AI, like handwriting recognition and speech recognition, image recognition. So here we don't talk about understanding, but really speech recognition, transforming it into written text or images, and able to classify them and understand what's on the image. The next much steeper curves, this is already where AI or machine learning got better at things and could start to comprehend contexts, could understand written text and probably answer questions around it. And then language understanding is still a bit more complex, because language is more than just a word. There's subtle nuances, and AI was also very quickly and very rapidly able to perform on a very similar scale, if not better scale, than humans themselves. Yeah. What we see here, the three last curves, that's I think you don't see the agenda for the last one. So this is language inference, grade school math, and code generation. So with language inference, we really mean a very, very fundamental understanding of language, but also the ability to deduct content from it, to extrapolate it to new content. So those three curves, this is generative AI. And the red curve, you see how it is formed. This is very specifically OpenAI and the GPT models. And what we see, of course, is that the capabilities here have really skyrocketed in the last few months. We even see some curves missing on that graphic, because there's more capabilities. The ones of you who have observed the development of large language model probably know that we have seen multimodal models which also are able to understand or to have visual capabilities, understand videos or audio to an extreme amount. Those are not yet on the curve, but they're on the market already as well. Good. So capabilities are one thing, and of course, business have picked up. So GenAI spending is currently undergoing an exponential growth, very similar to other previous disruptive technologies from the 80s onwards. Not sure, some of you might have seen or have seen read summaries about the Microsoft Build event. So Microsoft is one of the companies really leading the charge here. They are investing billions already, not only in OpenAI. They have, of course, also their internal capabilities. They're really going all in on the consumer products they have, but also there. So they have even announced a lot of new capabilities, also partnering with Hugging Face and Meta for the open source model, large language models. So they are really throwing in a lot of money there. And last graphic for this introduction, that's also from an Accenture research and an NLP analysis on earnings calls. So in 10,000 companies, earnings calls have been transcribed and they have been analyzed for the mention of AI. And we have seen there's an enormous growth. So companies are really focusing their strategies around AI. So in my opinion, these are very strong indicators that the hype or the boom is pretty real. It's probably not a hype, it's very real. We see a lot of investments there and strategies are being adapted. Of course, those are all factors that lag a bit behind from what we see on the ground, probably. So you have probably not tested many AI application or generative AI applications, but you will very soon. That's for sure. I write a small, most likely there, but I'm pretty confident that this will be the case. And I think it's going to be the case very soon for those who haven't seen it yet. But let's now really dive into our common passion. So that's quality engineering, testing of applications. That's also what I have been working on. And this is also my focus area. I mean, the field of generative AI is so wide. I'm on a daily basis overwhelmed with all the news and new releases that hit the market. It's really amazing. But I'd like to now show you my view on where I think we as quality engineers can really utilize GenAI and can benefit from it, showing it across the different life cycle phases of testing. So let's start with the requirement phase. 1 second. So in the requirements phase, potential is actually huge. So requirements, that's usually plain text. And large language models are very good with text. So what we see as potential is here really peer reviews or feedback on requirements, or even the creation of requirements, so system requirements from business requirements. All these things are possible and can be enhanced with GenAI. in the task planning or task management area, what we have seen really working well is kind of co-creation of test strategies, ideations about test approaches together with a large language model. That can be very helpful, and it can also act as a very good sparring partner if you are a test coordinator, test manager, and you're working on a strategy. Environment setup. There's also, for example, test data generation or the health monitoring of environments are use cases that we are investigating, and which GenAI can really support very well. The probably most, let's say, relevant and the probably most time-consuming tasks for many of us when we are doing quality engineering is the test case development. It's either manual test cases where you need to very, very carefully analyze your requirements, understand them, comprehend them, and define test cases. And those test cases need to be defined very clearly. You need to document them well, and you need to lay them out in a tool. Or also, you might be doing automation, and both these things, and those are things that we have done and which we're also piloting at clients already, where we see huge benefit of GenAI. GenAI can really help you a lot and reduce the time spent on these phases, during these phases. The next one is an interesting one, test execution. So you might think test execution, I need to anyway still work the system if it's not automation that you execute. But if you execute something manually, you might think that's something that's not able to be done by GenAI. But then you should go back to the recordings of the Microsoft Build event. What Microsoft has just announced is Copilot with agent function. So basically, the thing can actually click your screen. As long as you're on a Windows machine, this can be done. So theoretically, I haven't tried it out. We haven't played around with that. It's also quite risky, so I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of interesting news around this function and doing things which probably the user didn't want to do. But let's see. So this agent function, though, and this is the next step of the evolution. For now, mostly GenAI was generating things for you. You were asking it some written text. It came back with written text. So this is changing now, and it's also able to execute for you. So we call this agency. And agency is, of course, much riskier because it actually does things. And if you do things, that can be also things which have not been anticipated, but of course also very, very impactful. So let's see about the test execution part. I'm very curious on this end myself. And if we say about test cycle closure, also there, we have what we have experimented with is the creation of defects or even the root cause analysis of defects. Those are things which can be enhanced through generative AI. So pretty much all the phases bear potential. But now let's see something a bit more concrete. So this is a demo which I will show you from a hackathon. So a colleague of ours was putting this demo together in a very, very short time. And what it is basically is a chatbot, which on the one hand is connected to a large language model. So it uses the reasoning and language capabilities of a large language model to make a conversation with the end user and interpret its intent, or understand and interpret its intent. but it's also connected to Jira through Azure Function Calls in this particular case. So basically, it's able to, but let's have a look. It's able to actually fetch information from Jira, but of course, this doesn't need to be Jira or any other tool which offers a REST API and exposes an story, like preconditions, and probably want to have an out of scope section, which is also has been missed out. So we would ask our digital agent now to give us suggestions. Yeah. In a real life scenario, this would probably you would basically have a conversation, and this is also what's happening where we at the clients where we put that. So it's more like a conversational style where you refine the user story through a conversation. It's like a discussion with a model that is connected to your documentation systems. Once you're happy with the out-of-scope items which are mentioned here, you could now then say, okay, fine, that's it. That's what I wanted. Just submit it to Jira. And this is where the agency comes in. So basically, through a conversation, you trigger actually some updates in a system. And this is the connected Jira instance. And upon refreshing there, we see that this update has just been made through the chatbot. Yeah? But that's not the end. Yeah? We feel that our user story is now ready to be tested. So we just want to throw the label test there. And also this will has been done. So fine, now the label is test. Probably a tester will now see it on their dashboard and will start to pick it up. But let's already give him or her some head start. Let's generate test cases as well so that the person can already not start with a blank sheet and can just, have a good foundation to build upon. So same thing is happening here. Here again, of course, this would probably be a more iterative process than like one shot, say like create the use cases. I don't want to look at them, but you would give more input. We'll come to that a little later, why this is important. But this agency function is super powerful, super useful. And you see we have now test cases also attached to these user stories in X-Ray. So it's a Jira plugin. And you see there's details. There is a test script with steps and the description and the expected result. And so this really shows us how powerful and how great GenAI can be to augment our everyday life. Let me just 1 second. But I want to be fair. Yeah, this was the sunny day scenario. Everything worked out fine. Yeah, it's a demo that we show the clients that we want to promote our products, obviously. But of course, we also need to be very, very much aware about the limitations that these systems have. And the example that I'm going to give is now not a testing example, but regardless, I had a conversation with a friend the other weekend, and we were discussing about proteins for some reason. Don't ask me why, but what I do very often is when I have a discussion, I don't know it. Previously, we always Google things. Now or I switched to ChatGPTing things. But there is a risk with that, of course. So I said, like, okay, let's please list different sources of protein in table. Yeah, I want to have the name of the food product, protein content per kg, and production cost and water consumption, just to have a nice overview about what's there. And bam, thing goes and throws out 10 different 10 different food items and the requested metrics in a nice table. All looks very good. But now it's I'll give you a few seconds to look at it. You'll have very good eyes, and our testers, quality engineers. So what doesn't feel right here? And that's unfortunately very common. So between 6 and 7, there is something strange, which I found, because my understanding is for tofu, I'm not an expert on those things, but still what I know is that tofu is made of soybeans. And so how can the water consumption cost be lower than the one of soybeans actually? So probably there was something missed out here. And of course, and that's always so nice if the large language model in a very friendly manner apologizes and says, yes, you're correct. I was just about to test if you're still thinking or if you have given everything to me. Of course, I forgot something. Let's correct that. And then the correction comes promptly and says, yeah, I came up with a new value, and it's now, and I'm pretty good at math, I didn't find that correct, or at least it's not straightforward correct, just counting those two together. Maybe there's something in between. But regardless, so it's just an illustration of how I think we need to be careful about. And I'll come to that in a bit, but let's look at a different case. So what has happened here is that, of course, how these models work. They have a huge database or data foundation which they are working with. The modern models are, and I mean, this is not public anymore, not published anymore for good reasons, I guess. But there is a significant portion of all the content on the internet is known or is part of the training data of these models. And of course, it's a predictive system, and it will not always give you the right factual answer. It's a very, very good generalist, large language models. It's also a good specialist in certain areas, but not in all areas. And for sure not in the application you are testing in your daily job. You have been working with this application for a lot. But this is not common knowledge. That's not knowledge that's public in the internet, unless you're working for, I don't know, for something that is public, where the application is publicly accessible and documented. But most likely that's not the case. So what we need to be careful with, and I'll just illustrate it very quickly, also how to fix that problem that we just saw is, let me switch over to my GPT window. So just use a data source that you trust. If you're talking about facts, and if you want to have facts, just upload a data source that you trust. The one that I have here is from Our World in Data, and the protein in this is also about interesting. I have unusual activity. Let's see if that blocks me from continuing the demo here. Otherwise, we'll skip that, and I'll just explain what I'm doing. So basically, we have a data file. So the data foundation, digital assistant, do the data research on, the whole wide internet, but I'll provide it to it. but then I'll do it and let it do what it does well. Sorry for that. How could I visualize that? And this is obviously something that the thing is good at. Yeah. Oh, it already does it. It's generating a bar chart for me. Yeah. Make the scale logo and change the color to purple. So this will also be done in a second. So I'm not sure who of you is familiar to that capability of ChatGPT and the Plus version. You have a Python interpreter, which is actually pretty powerful in analyzing data. Yeah. So what I want to say here is it's very useful, very, very useful, but you need to make the right choice of use case. Yeah. And that brings me to the next chapter of this talk. Yeah? So you need to be aware with what you're dealing and what can be done well and what not so well. So I'll just give a few hints and bring examples what would be my main recommendations for using generative AI in quality engineering. So first and foremost is use supporting documentation and data. Yeah? Of course, the large language model that you use, unless you really train it yourself, which probably not many of us will do, but it's trained on a wide variety of data. That's why it's really good in generic tasks, but the specific task, your application documentation, or the way you write test cases, or the way you need to have user stories or acceptance criteria written is per definition or per default not known to your system. So you need to teach it that, or you need to provide this information in a way. There's more methodologies to do so. One of the more famous and well-known is retrieval augmented generation. And this is pairing a large language model, which is really good at reasoning and language understanding and working with humans, because it has these similar capabilities. And on the other hand, you have a knowledge base, a very easily searchable knowledge base. And this pair, this is very powerful, because the knowledge is retrieved from the knowledge base and the human interaction comes from the large language model. The large language model alone does not cut it in many of the appliances that we have in our daily business. The next one, also very, very important, especially at this stage of development of AI or generative AI, it is important to verify the generated results. We as humans, we still own the responsibility for the work we do, for the test cases we write, for the test strategies we produce. We need to be aware. This is our job. We are the seniors here. We have an assistant. And that assistant is very useful. It's very smart and has a lot of potential. But still, in the end, we need to make sure that that we guide it and then we verify the results before we further have them processed. Just imagine we have a whole. We saw the DevOps 8 before. So we have requirements. Just imagine we have requirements that are generated. Then we generate test cases out of it. We execute them, and then we create defects out of it. If you have a chain of small errors, this will lead to a lot of nonsense in the long run. So we need this human in the loop. This is very, very important. Regulation and compliance. At the moment, this is a topic that's probably not that widely known and discussed, but in the background, there's a lot of discussions. It's not even in the background. There is a lot of discussions. So different regions are striving to have generative AI regulated. Also, how to use it, where to use it, where not to use it, what needs to be made transparent to the users. What kind of also this human in the loop, for which use cases do you need to have the human in the loop? And also the data foundation is subject of a lot of discussion. So many of you might have heard that especially content creators such as journalists, but also musicians and artists are in general, they are not very happy about that their voices, their songs, their articles are just scraped from the internet, and models are trained with it. But yeah, at the moment there is no regulation that in place that strictly forbids that. But there is a lot of cases going on. And so we need to understand we need to see how this develops and how this impacts the models that we use and how we use them. And what's also really, really important is the awareness. So everyone who is working with GenAI or who is, part of a team that works with GenAI should be aware, be it someone on a very operational level, but also on a leadership level. So we need to, for several reasons, ensure awareness, because there's pitfalls, there's risks involved, and we need to mitigate those risks with the suggested points above. But also we need to understand, or we need to come to a common understanding what GenAI can do and what it cannot do. The reason why I'm emphasizing this so much is because there was yet another study that was made, and it was a huge survey about generative AI, and it was made for people on a working level and on an executive level. And what the survey showed, there's a huge perception gap in GenAI. So while workers are somehow a little bit skeptical about GenAI and job security, C-level people see that differently. And also the understanding. Workers feel confident using the technology, but C-level have a different picture. So across the board, we see that huge perception gap if we look at the two different groups. And this is also my recommendation to you, to all of you, to really try to educate yourselves, educate your coworkers. And I think the best way to do that is to use the technology and understand it, use it responsibly, so that we can all learn with it. Because I think that technology is here to stay. So let's embrace it and let's work with it. Let's make the best out of it. And let's make sure it's not gonna harm the way we work together, but it's gonna benefit all of us. Because I'm convinced that when it's used correctly, GenAI can amplify our potential. We can basically do better work when we use it. It can enhance our capabilities and can drive efficiency, for sure. Yeah, because already in my everyday life, even when preparing this, I'm very honest here. Yeah, when preparing this presentation, not only this presentation, any presentation that I do, uh, I use GenAI for a lot of things. Yeah, of course, what you see here is is coming from me and the whole story and so on. But there is a lot of touch points that I have with GenAI in between, where I ask for formulations, for further ideas, where I have stories and I let them challenge. Yeah? So I think with this kept in mind, we are very well suited uh, to embrace this technology and really, as quality engineers, really benefit from generative AI going forward. But as mentioned, this is my biased view. I'm sure it's biased. I've been working a lot with it and I like working with it, but let's obviously openly discuss. And I'm really open for any questions. I'm also here to learn and to hear from you, and also I'll embrace different opinions. Obviously, over to you, Tuva. You're on
Session.
mute.
Let's begin with the question. Okay, we receive a question. Would AI be able to replace manual testing in the next 5 years?
Which type of testing?
Manual testing.
It won't replace it, for sure not. Not in the next 5 years, not in the next 10 years. It will change, in my opinion, how it will be done. Yeah, but I think no matter the time. Okay, let's not be too bold, but next 5 years, I don't think manual testing will be replaced. You will be doing it differently. I'm pretty sure, but you will still be having a very important role in that process.
Okay. Okay, the next one. In the testing cycle, how Gen AI is used in requirement gathering and environment setup. Can you elaborate slightly more?
Yeah. So in the environment setup, I would say like, yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. In the environment setup, what I would say is, at the time being, it can recommend you strategies, components, or ways to set it up, as long as we don't have real agents, yeah, inside these tools. Yeah. There might be very soon tools who will have an agency function, which allow you then to really do the setup. At the moment, it's more like a consultant, or you can brainstorm ideas on how to do something. You still need to do it yourself. And in the requirements gathering, it's of a similar nature, I think. But depends how this is done, obviously, in your company. But this is more like a, let's say, a smart agent, a smart assistant. Very soon, probably that will happen. The requirements gathering will have co-pilots in all our channels. Yeah, be it in your documentation tool, or be it in your mail client. They will be very soon equipped with GenAI capabilities. And then I can also imagine that you can really use it for requirements gathering.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Mhm.
Okay. How much can we rely on AI, especially when it comes to critical software system testing, especially system that is related to life and death? How can we mitigate the risk?
Sorry, Tuba, is this the question from Vasu here? No. Or where is the question? Because, or can you repeat it, please?
Okay, so sure, I can repeat. How much can we rely on
Or can
AI,
you post it?
especially when what? Can you please repeat?
Now, if you can post it in the chat.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I will post it. It's on
Mhm.
the post.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that helps. Huh? And Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. Yeah, the more critical. Yeah, and I'm not sure if the person asking this is from Europe. I don't know the regulations in other parts of the world, but obviously, if we have critical systems, life critical systems, yeah, as in self-driving cars, right? I mean, that's pretty critical, or self-driving public transport and trains and what have you. Uh, there, of course, for the actual testing, I wouldn't rely on it at all. Yeah? I mean, there is supportive tasks, yeah, that you can still get done if you perform such tests. But it's clear that here, where life is at stake, it needs to be always checked and double checked. Yeah? And probably there is already a regulation that suggests several eyes principle, and this regulation anyway forbids you to really do that by solely by AI. So that's also one of the suggestions from the EU AI Act. So the European Union is suggesting that depending on what your application is doing, yeah, or is intended to do, it's grouped in different risk classes, and different risk classes have to comply with different obligations. And this is very important. So I think at the moment we are not ready to have any very critical, and especially its life and death critical systems tested by AI without any supervision, of course.
Okay, we have one more question. Did you recommend any tools that help with automating test cases based on AI?
Yeah, I mean, let's say there is different. So there's different approaches. So you have the testing tools. If you have automation tools like Tricentis Tosca or UiPath, they all come already built in with AI capabilities, yeah, because they are model based. So you would not be really able to script it. Yeah? For the script based automation languages such as Selenium or Appium or something like that, or also for API testing, yeah. Here we are talking basically about code generation. Yeah, so everything, and at code generation, and also there's a ton of documentation out there for Selenium, of course. And this has all been read by the late models. So the large language models, all of them understand these languages very well, and as a consequence, they are super efficient to be used. Yeah. So I think it's if you're looking for built-in capabilities, that's what the vendors of the model-based tools do. If you're looking for open source ways to automate, then any of the languages that use scripting, yeah, work very well because it's code generation in the end.
Okay, we have completed the Q&A. Thank you so much, Philip, for your time and the informative session. Let me share my screen. Okay, we have the event partner for this, SoftTech 2024. We are proudly the event partners for SoftTech Asia 24 Software Testing Conference, organized by Malaysia Software Testing Board. SoftTech Asia, the premier software quality assurance and testing conference in Asia, is back for its 15th edition on September 10 to 11, 2024 at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Center. This year's theme, Software Testing, the Next Generation, focuses on the transformative impact of AI and ML on our industry. Join us and find out more on the future of tech unfolding right before your eyes at the upcoming SoftTech Asia 2024 conference. More details on their web, www.softechasia.org. We are looking for the community champs. Share your interest on our link cfc.bit.ly/cfc community champ. Thanks. You can connect on our Synapse QA, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, Instagram channel. And you can watch this video on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to host you on another session.